it's the Print House. Today I have a video for you guys. This is a long-awaited video for me. This is a full-on review of the SOVOL SV02, and I don't have the SV02 right here. That is a lot better. We now have a printer to review. So, guys, first off, I want to jump right into the meat and potatoes of it. And if this printer is on your watch list and you don't know which printer to buy, this printer is a very, very good printer. Now, I got this printer for $199. I just looked online. This printer is selling for $250 at select websites. So I believe that you probably could find it for that price on a regular basis. There's really very few sales going on. It's just this printer is a little bit old, a couple of years old, and so it's for sale. Anyway, so yeah, guys, I definitely recommend this printer, but if you want to know more about it, please stick around for the video, and yeah, roll the intro. So I know a lot of you guys already know what the SOVOL SV02's main attraction is, and that's that it has two extruders. So you've got one extruder over here, and you have one extruder right here. Now, you can do a lot with that. You can print with one roll of filament. You can print with two rolls of filament, but this is also white. So you probably would not want to do that. But the other thing you can do is print with white and blue, print with white and brown gold, print with gold and wood, print with white and black, blue and black, more blue, more white, blue and clear, gold and clear, chrome green, more black, more white, a box, white, blue. Any of these. Okay, you guys get the point. A dual extruder will allow you to print with two kinds of filament. You can do a lot with it. I hope you guys appreciate that intro because I broke one of my spools of filament for that. This is gonna have to be re-spooled, and I don't think that's a safe thing to do. Okay, guys, so all joking aside, the SOVOL SV02, it is a fantastic printer. Now, the first things that I want to mention about this printer is right out of the box, you get the SD card, you put the SD card in your printer, and you're presented with a bunch of files. You're presented with Cura profiles, you're presented with test prints, you're presented with manuals, you're presented with a bunch of stuff. So standardly with a Creality style printer or a Creality printer, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get test STLs and you're going to get a few other things. But because this printer has a dual extruder and not everyone's going to know how to use a dual extruder, you also get instruction guides on how to slice and use the dual extruder. So that is a fantastic thing that they've included for you. Now, I went through through those files, and they're not great, but they're better than nothing, and they give you a starting place to go if you need to learn how to do that. So I actually had to go and find some external sources online in order to do that myself. It gave me, like I said, it gave me a good starting place, but there was still more that I needed. But fantastic that they offer that for you, and otherwise I probably would have been lost to begin with. So let's see. Of course, I don't have all of this memorized because my brain is small and pretty smooth. There's not much room to store all of this information in my head. So I do want to first put this out there that when I unboxed this printer and I got it installed, there was a piece of white and black filament that was on my printer somewhere, and I have never had a dual extruder printer in this house, so that means this printer was either tested in the factory or it was used. Now, that isn't to say that's a problem. So this printer came in fantastic, phenomenal condition, and I really don't believe it to be used. So I do find it more likely that this printer was tested before it was shipped out to me. And I think that's a fantastic thing because I don't know how many factories actually test every single printer. So good on them for testing printers before they get shipped out. If anything is going to be wrong with it, they'll find it there. So the likelihood of you getting a malfunctioning printer probably a lot smaller. Like I said, you get a lot of stuff on the SD card. So you're going to get firmwares and whatever you don't have on the SD card is readily available on SOVOL's website. So like on Creality's website, there's a downloads page where you can download firmwares, BL Touch firmwares, a bunch of stuff like that. On SOVOL's website, it's pretty much the exact same, except they actually provide you source code for firmware. So you can go and you can easily download that source code directly from SOVOL, and then you can modify it yourself. So if you're more of an advanced user, this printer is actually not a bad one for you because it gives you the basics on the screen in terms of E-steps and stuff like that, acceleration and jerk, that you can modify easily on the screen in that firmware. And if you need anything extra, just go to the website, download the source code, change it yourself, compile it, drop it on the printer. That is, again, a thumbs up for SOVOL. So, first print. Yeah, that was a nightmare. I love this printer, but the first print on here was a total nightmare. So, as you can tell, I have, maybe you can tell, I've got a BL Touch. This is installed on here with a 3D printed mount. Guys, that's going to be in the description. I'm not going to tell you how to install this, but I will have a separate video of this being posted at some point. You can probably find that link up here in case I remember to put it there. But in my experience, this printer is big enough, the bed is big enough that you need a BL Touch, or else it's going to be incredibly difficult to get this printer leveled, at least with the factory screws, or sorry, the factory springs on this bed. So if you have extra springs laying around, you might be able to level this printer a little better, but you're going to have to replace the springs, or you're going to have a BL Touch. Now, I have a video of this printer where I leveled this the best that I possibly could, but due to this back left corner and where the heated bed plug goes, I just couldn't get it leveled. My nozzle was dragging the bed. There was nothing I could do. Okay, so just a little correction. What I just said is not true. I'm getting that mixed up with a different video. So actually, the nozzle was not dragging the bed. I did get the bed level, but the screws on the bed were very loose. So I do feel like the bed springs could be upgraded still. So I had to replace the springs or get the BL Touch. I had the BL Touch already, so I went down and I figured out how to get that installed. It was actually a little bit frustrating. So this printer maybe is not as common as a Creality Ender 3 or Ender 5, not as a Prusa. So finding a source in order to get a BL Touch installed on this printer was very difficult. I actually had to use SOVOL's website or SOVOL's YouTube video, the official SOVOL account, in order to install the BL Touch. And their YouTube video was obviously very specifically tailored to their BL Touch package. And their BL Touch package was not the same as what I needed. So I had to figure out the pins, and they have a 3+2. I didn't have a 3+2, so I had to figure it out. The pins on the BL Touch were, for some reason, kind of messed up. Anyway, guys, all of that's going to be explained in the video. Like I said, you can find it in the description or up there once it's completed. But moving on past that, once I got the BL Touch installed, I then had to change the firmware. Great. Firmware's on the website from SOVOL, but this printer cannot update the firmware from the printer. You have to have a mini USB cable, and you have to update it through Cura or through some other slicer software that can talk to the board. That was annoying because if you don't have a long mini USB, then you're not going to be able to update this printer, or you're going to have to carry your laptop over to the printer and use a cable that's 12 inches long or whatever it is. So that was annoying, but once again, was able to get past that, got the BL Touch installed, created my mesh, started printing. And so let me see here. So once I started printing, I started out with a horse. I started out with it was a chess piece. So the chess piece turned out actually fantastic. Now, so you've got some horizontal layer changes at the bottom, and as you get closer to the top, you have some more vertical layer changes, or color changes, sorry. So the bottom is horizontal color changes, and towards the top is the vertical color changes. Now, this is considered to be a torture test for dual extruder printers. And of course, I didn't know this because this is my first experience with a dual extruder printer. And the SOVOL did absolutely fantastic. Now, towards the bottom, there is virtually no issues whatsoever. So no Z-banding issues, perfectly smooth bottom layer, thank you BL Touch, and the overhangs are pretty high, and that is going to be the only place where we see some issues on this piece. Even the overhangs were handled very well, and this was printed directly stock off of the printer. So the horizontal colors are really easy. It's the same exact printing as you'd be doing on anything else, a single extruder. You're just printing one color per layer, no issue whatsoever. When you start to get to the vertical color changes on the same layer, that's when you start to have issues, because you're dropping a little bit of filament, you're moving a little bit, and then you're dropping some more filament and you're moving a little bit more. So you're just leaving little bits, walking or moving some, then leaving some little bits, and then moving some more, and really difficult. And I am absolutely blown away with the quality of this part. Now, after that, I went ahead and I printed our little buddy Gustav here. Gustav is nothing complicated, just two different colors, and I forgot to put Gustav's eyes white, so Gustav, guys, F in the chat for him. Black pupils, black eyes, you can barely even tell, and sorry dude. But yeah, so as you look around this print, once again, pretty much perfect on the layer, just the standard single color spots. And when you have a layer that has white and black on it, there's enough white and there's enough separation between the white and the black that, again, there is really no issue whatsoever. And when you look at the places that have white and black touching or really close to each other, so like the eyebrows or on the tail, where the tail touches the shell, or the toes, I don't really know what you want to call those, the toenails, you can see a little bit of issues. In some very few select places, you can see little dribbles of gray, which is some white and black mixed together. But overall, very, very good. And the only printing anomaly that I have found with this printer happened once by the eyebrow, the right eyebrow, and then once by the left eye. Now, this anomaly, I have absolutely no idea what it is. I've never seen it before. It looks like it just extruded a line of filament for absolutely no reason whatsoever and just deposited it there and like walked away. And I have no idea what it is. I will do my best in order to show that close up. Of course, the very first thing, sorry, I lied earlier. I said the first thing I printed was the horse. Actually, it was a benchy, because why not? And I will have some close-up of that. But once the benchy was got printing fine, or sorry, once the printer got printing fine, the benchy looks great. So you can read the bottom, ct3d.xyz. Once again, no banding issues whatsoever. Z-banding issues that I can really tell on the sides of the ship or the boat. The steering wheel absolutely looks fantastic to me. I've seen a lot of difficulty on the steering wheel before, and so there is a little bit of ghosting on the license plate, but otherwise, I mean, really did a great job. In select places, when I sliced this model, I guess I didn't have my Z-seam the way I would normally have it, so the Z-seam kind of is randomly spread throughout the model. I really can't knock the boat or the printer for that, because that's my fault. But otherwise, this Benchy turned out very, very well, very good. I mean, phenomenal for not calibrating this machine at all. And then here I've got some purge blocks. So these purge blocks are pretty obvious. The one that is essentially gray goes with the horse because there is white and black all over. Or, sorry, I picked up the wrong one. The one that is gray goes with the Gustav because there's white and black on pretty much every single layer from the bottom to the top. Not a lot of white and black, but on every single model. So that means you're gonna have gray on the entire purge tower. And then the purge block that is essentially, you know, bands of white and bands of black on the bottom, goes hand in hand with the horse. There are bands of white and bands of black. And then as you get closer to the top, you have a lot of white and a lot of black on both layers, so it starts to turn gray. But overall, the prints, they look fantastic with this machine, and I am very pleased with how they've turned out. Getting into the Cura aspect of this printer, so they've included the Cura profiles on the SD card. Now, I did not like import those profiles, because if you go to Cura and you say I want to, put a new printer on this this computer, it has the default options, and SOVOL is listed there, and so the SVO2 is on there. So I just selected that one. So I then, after I worked with that, I went back to the SD card and I imported that profile and I compared the two, and the profiles are identical. That includes the extruders, the start G code, end G code, extruder start G code, extruder end G code. All of it's identical, and I have an issue with it, and I don't know what it is. So something in terms of the printer start G code is not right. So as the printer goes and draws a purge line, for one, it's not doing anything. No extruder is moving, no filament is coming out, and it moves along the printer, and then it stops, and then it goes boop, and it really quickly moves and deposits a blob of filament. Now I've got a video of that to play, but when the extruder does that, it's not like helping actually purge the system. So if you have strings on there, the strings are going to remain on there, and it has the very high likelihood of ruining a print that you're about to start. And so I am not a G-code expert. I have the G-code right here on screens. Go ahead and pause. If you want to look at it, you can. Maybe figure out what's wrong with it, because I tried both extruders. In the G-code on Cura, you can say which extruder you want to purge from, extruder 1 or extruder 2. I tried both of them. Neither of them fixed the issue. I don't know what it is, but that is not an issue with the printer, because the printer functions correctly. That's an issue with, I believe, with the start G code of the printer, and that is from the factory, built into Cura. It's on the SD card, and that's not particularly great, because someone that is a little bit less advanced, maybe like myself, isn't going to be able to fix that, and it's going to be a pain in the neck over and over to have to stop a print if you have a string that falls in it after it actually starts extruding filament. But yeah, so guys, like I said, after it does the purge line, it extrudes just fine. That being said, it does not actually extrude a skirt. So if you have a skirt on your print, it doesn't do that either. So there is something funny about that, because once it actually gets to the print, the actual item you're trying to print, it prints that just fine every single time without any mess ups there. So other than that, printing seemed pretty fine to me. The quality was great, and I had really no other issues other than just some hiccups here and there and some kind of funny business. So in terms of the build quality of the actual machine, I have a video that I posted about a month and a half or 2 months ago. That video outlines my opinions of the build quality of this machine. Very, very sturdy. It is not going to fall apart. Right now, this is my sturdiest printer in the bunch. I've got the CR30, I've got a couple Ender 6s, and a couple Ender 3 V2s, and this printer is without a doubt the sturdiest printer I have. That does come with some problems. So leveling the bed is very difficult. So and I know you guys aren't going to like this, while the printer's off, I move the bed. Not great, don't do that. But you have a bracing right here. And this bracing severely gets in the way when you're trying to turn these knobs in order to level your bed. And there's nothing you can do about it. They're just in the way. And I have small hands, and I still have difficulties leveling this bed. So if you have larger hands, this is a serious, if you have larger hands, you're gonna have to consider not getting this machine unless you can get like a perfect level that is never gonna have to be touched again. So I find that the springs on here that come on this printer from factory maybe could use some tweaking. It's difficult to say, but if you have to level the bed on a weekly basis, you're not going to want this printer. If you can get the printer dialed in that you don't have to level the bed, but maybe once every 2 or 3 months, and if you never have to touch these screws, great. From factory, you're gonna have to upgrade these springs a little bit, add some more travel in there or something, because even with small hands, that was incredibly difficult and incredibly time consuming, just turning the knobs. In terms of the rest of the printer's build quality, this screen, fantastic. It outperforms any Ender 3, Ender 6. I mean, the screen, everything on this printer is an all metal housing. It's gonna survive an apocalypse, I promise you. This is great. So the screen on all metal housing, if you want to upgrade any firmware on this screen, you've got a couple screws here on the side. Really, really easy to unscrew these, pop the housing out. The screen then has 2 screws on it itself. You can unscrew those 2 screws and pull it off the faceplate, and then you can plug an SD card in and you can flash the screen easily. And this is not going anywhere. This is not in with T-nuts. This is in with some kind of a screw. It is not going anywhere. Like the Ender 3 V2 screen, it is just in with a plastic clip, and you can easily break it. Not great. The whole thing is plastic. If you want a lightweight machine, great, but everything on here is weighty, so it's going to keep the printer planted, and if you print at any higher speeds, it's going to hopefully keep a little bit less vibrations because it's heavy, keeping itself down. Like I said, great machine. I am a little bit frustrated with some of the wheels. I feel like some of these V-slot wheels don't turn very well. And one of them, this one right here, actually does not make contact with the V-slot at all. So as the printer rides up and down, that wheel doesn't even turn. I have looked at fixing that, can't figure it out, nothing I can do. Maybe this wheel is manufactured to be just a little bit smaller than other wheels, I don't know. I didn't seem to see any issues with it on the print quality. It did not affect anything. The belts. The belts come from factory. I feel like probably they're a little bit loose. And I did not tighten these belts, and I feel like the print quality was fine. So I'm going to go print some extra calibration stuff, and you guys have probably already seen that, but as of my opinion right now, nothing in terms of print quality has been hindered by this machine. Two all metal two all metal extruders. There is an issue with the extruders and how they are fed. So they suggest that you install the filament spool holder up here on the top. That just makes your printer really, really tall. And it also makes your printer not feed the filament very well. So there's an issue with that when you're printing, because as you change filaments, it retracts one of these it retracts one of the filaments in one of these extruders. And that filament, might be a surprise to you, does not automatically re-spool on this printer. So as the filament gets retracted from the spool, it wraps around the front of this gantry. And when that happens, you start to have issues. If you are doing a really long or a really tall print and your axis is all the way up here, you absolutely will have issues with that happening. Your filament is going to wrap all the way around the gantry, and hopefully the V-slot wheels don't run it over and crush the filament and cause a jam. Hopefully nothing happens, but if you get this printer, one of the things that you're probably going to want to do is print a filament guide for a couple of reasons. You obviously don't want the filament eating into your extruder, but also you don't want your filament being chopped off by the V-slot wheels as you're doing a really tall print. So a couple of things about the printer that I quite like is right here on the side, you have your on-off switch. Guys, you're gonna think that's a little bit silly that I like that, but my Ender 3 V2s have the on-off switch on the back, and I have had the printers for about a year now, and every single time I try to turn them on, I cannot find the switch. So having a gigantic switch on the side is great because I can find it every time. One other issue that I have is some of the cable routing on this machine. So this Z motor on the side, the cables are routed in such a way that as the print bed moves forward and back, this particular motor here on the right side of the machine actually can get pulled out, and it can get pulled out very easily. In my experience printing, I had it pull out twice. Of course, I didn't do any super tall, long, like 10 day, that's crazy. Like, any 3 or 4 day prints. But if you're doing a 3 or 4 day print and you get the Z motor get unplugged, you're probably going to be a little bit unhappy, and you're going to have an entire wasted 4 days of printing. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to want to reroute these cables. It's no big deal. It only takes a second, but you're going to want to reroute these cables, and you're possibly going to want to print yourself some cable clips in order to make sure they absolutely do not get in the way. Guys, this printer, it really is amazing, and I like it. I have quite a few picky, nitpicky things about this printer, but I wish I bought 2 of these printers when I got them, because I got them for I got it for $199, and for that price, you absolutely cannot go wrong. You can't buy an Ender 3 V2 for $199. They sell for $250, and maybe if you're lucky, if you get it on sale, you can get it for $230. But for $199, this is a steal, even if you don't plan to be printing with 2 filaments. You can only print with 1 filament, and it's still a steal. Like, you don't have to use both extruders. This printer is great. Guys, I definitely recommend you get this printer if you can deal with the small nitpicky things about it. So speaking about nitpicky, this is going to be one of my biggest nitpicks, I think, but this is pretty important. If you want this printer to be a bedroom printer because it's silent, think again, because there is an incredibly bright blue light that I believe emits from the main board. Now I have a video of that is that you're looking at right now, and you absolutely are gonna have to cover that light if you want this to be a printer that goes in your bedroom. Because if you're trying to sleep at night and this thing is blinking and just like a bright blue light, I wouldn't be able to sleep. It's very, very annoying. That being said, this printer is quiet enough to be a bedroom printer. This is an incredibly quiet printer, and I was going to include the sound of this printer in this video, but it was just going to be way too long. So guys, please click the link right here. That is a full video about the sound of the SOVOL. It is, it's incredible how quiet this printer is. I have charts and statistics, data point numbers for you directly compared to the Ender 3 V2. The Ender 3 sounds like a train driving by your front door. Compared to this thing, this is a very quiet printer, and there's nothing about it that, I would sleep with this in my room if it was not for that bright light. Great printer in terms of sound. Whenever my Creality Ender 6 was released, they claimed that it was a quiet printer, but there's absolutely no way that that's a quiet printer, because this, I know for a fact, is a quiet printer. This is a really great printer. Alright guys, I know I skipped around a little bit, but I think I got everything out that I wanted to. Guys, this is a really great printer, from build quality to print quality to price. I think this is a win. I have a bunch of small issues with this printer, but they are not something that I would consider to be a deal breaker. The SOVOL SV02, it's a great printer. SOVOL did a really good job. This is not sponsored. I bought this printer myself. I bought it because I wanted a dual extruder printer, and I had no experience with SOVOL. There was basically nothing online about this printer, so I figured it's a shot in the dark. It was pretty good in terms of price. It was really cheap when I bought it, and I'm glad that I did. I have no regrets. In order to find a dual Z-axis printer that's got this size of a print bed, this great of build quality, and it's just pretty much not lacking in any case. In order to get all of this in a printer, I feel like it's probably going to be difficult to do at the price between $199 and $250. So guys, big win in my book, and if this is a printer that you are considering getting, definitely I would say go for it. Anyway, guys, if there is something that you want to see with this printer, tell me, put it in the comments down below, and I can do it, and I will make a video on it, and if it's video worthy. And guys, there's just not a lot of content with this printer, so I want to be your one-stop shop. If you have an idea, like I said, put it in the comments. I will reply to you. I will do it. So anyway, yeah, and guys, that applies to anything else. I love making YouTube videos. I'm here for you, so please put your comments down below. Please, guys, give me a like and a subscribe. All of that really greatly helps me out. It helps me get my reach out to greater and larger community. Anyway, guys, I'm headed out. I'm going to go get this video edited, and I'm going to post it for you guys. I will see you later. Bye.